I'm Roshni. I'm the founder of Black Sheep Experience, where we rebuild our self-worth after surviving our toxic families. Thank you so much for tuning in for another video. Let's talk about why Black sheep are afraid to be seen. Black sheep are afraid of being seen. This is something that I've seen time and time again working with clients, and even in my own journey, it's been majorly reflected back to me because we have faced such a high amount of criticism in our entire life. A lot of people could face criticism, but if they have that safe place to go to, if they have that parent that is willing to love them and coach them and reassure them through that criticism, it's a completely different experience. But when you don't have that, the rejection and the criticism hit so much harder. And for us as Black sheep, it's not even just general criticism, it's our own parents, our own families, our own caregivers that are constantly invalidating us, being aggressive towards us, being unkind, being rude, being judgmental. All of these things are frequent occurrences in our life, and we just become used to it. But we don't have a safe place away from that. We don't have a place where we're comfortable, where we can get back on our feet or kind of lick our own wounds, right? It's just ourselves. And so we learn to comfort ourselves when we are alone. And obviously, this can vary person to person. It's not like every Black sheep is the same, but so many of us would turn inward or would just isolate ourselves because that was the only time that we could be ourselves. That was the only time that some of us even felt free. And a lot of us would also turn to escapism, right? And that could even be books or TV or movies, or it could be substances or hanging out with people all the time or getting into these codependent relationships, or, the list could go on. But a lot of us would escape or turn to being completely alone as our way to cope through what we were going through. So then the combination of needing to be alone to feel like ourselves, and then dealing with this constant criticism from our families and not having any sort of reassuring safe haven away from that criticism, creates this combination where being perceived is horrifying. It's the scariest thing that you could possibly experience. And being seen doesn't just mean that you're always shy. If you're a Black sheep, you could still be the loudest person in the room. You could be the class clown. You could love to perform. A lot of us as Black sheep are creatives, and we like putting ourselves out there. And sometimes that became our coping mechanism in itself. So when I say being afraid to be seen, it doesn't necessarily just mean that you are shy or that you don't want to be in front of anyone else. But there is this sense of fear around truly being vulnerable around other people. And for a lot of us, at least for me in particular, this turns into me being really open and really vulnerable with people when I'm really close to them, but kind of pushing people away or not allowing myself to get close to a lot of people until I feel like I'm safe around them. But the reason I wanted to specifically talk about being seen is because I was reflecting this week and I realized that being seen was an important hurdle that I needed to get through in order to pursue any single one of my dreams. Or so many of us have goals or dreams, whether it's related to your career, something creative that you want to pursue, or even putting yourself out there with a person and falling in love. There are so many things that ask us to offer ourselves, to be vulnerable, to truly be seen. And we constantly come across that crossroads where we either have to choose to continue hiding or choose the fear, or we have to choose our goals. And this can be like, I've spent so much time just in that crossroads, like circling that intersection, right? Because I'm like, yes, I want the goal. I want the thing. I want to put myself out there, but how can I do that? How can I actually feel safe enough to do that? How can I be brave enough to do that? I am shying away from it. I'm running away from it, right? We like trip ourselves out and get so weirded out at these things that we know we genuinely want because it feels like it's asking too much of us. And so I actually wanted to help you through that today and not just talk about what it is or why we have it, but actually share a little bit on how you can work through this and allow yourself to feel safe enough to be seen. I could think myself in circles constantly, and we all can, but understanding a lesson on a physical level, being able to make different decisions in your everyday life because of the healing that you're doing, using movement to maybe not always fully understand how you feel or why you feel that way, but being able to still feel it, that has been life changing. Those are the things that have truly allowed me to break a cycle once and for all. And something that I also want you to know, because this was like a major epiphany for me on my healing journey, was that I did not have to fully process or verbally understand every little part about one of my reactions or my emotions or even what happened in the past to be able to integrate it, feel it, and move on. And that was one of the most liberating things I have ever learned and felt in my healing journey, because it is so much pressure to constantly have to analyze yourself and overanalyze yourself and think about the past and think about if you're remembering everything correctly. And sometimes it can be traumatizing or re-traumatizing to look back on past memories. And if we feel like that is the only way we can move forward, it can really put us in a place where we feel stuck, right? But I learned that, and sometimes learning it in the body allows me to then process it mentally. But if I'm so filled with emotions and I feel like a thundercloud and I like a thunderstorm, and I feel like all these clouds inside of me, like I need to move that. I need to move through it in order to even have enough room to be able to then process it mentally. And another good example of this is the idea of crying, right? You might always feel like if you're crying, you have to know exactly why you're crying, exactly what triggered it. You have to know exactly where that trigger started. You have to be able to recite all these things and know why it happened in order to move on, right? But what's actually true is sometimes you just need to cry, and your brain doesn't need to know why or how or where it started, or what sequence of events happened to make you feel that way. Sometimes you just need to let it out, and then maybe you need to dance it out a little bit, and then maybe you'll be on a run or doing your dishes or doing your laundry or in the shower or driving, and you'll be like, oh my God, wait, like I felt so awful about that because I was angry that this happened, because I let my boundaries get sacrificed, because da 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 da. And I think just knowing that the body carries so much wisdom and the body is so stable and the body never lies, those are really important lessons to be able to move forward in your healing journey. Okay, sorry about that tangent, but I had to get that point across. So the somatic practice that I wanted to teach you today around safety is EFT. So a lot of you, if you've worked with me before, maybe you've been to one of my EFT workshops, maybe you've seen it in the self-worth blueprint, maybe you have done it with me in a one-on-one session. But EFT is something that I love. I've been using it for, since I was like 23, almost 10 years now. And it has been something that I've returned to time and time again in times of grief, in times of sadness, in times of confusion, not even knowing what I'm upset about. And it has truly changed my life. And it's free and you can do it anytime. And you always have your body with you, so you don't even need to bring anything. It is one of the things that I feel like is foundational in my healing journey. Truly, it is something that I always have in my back pocket. And being neurodivergent, this is also something I love because it keeps all of me busy so I can focus, right? My hands have something to do. My body has something to feel. My mind has something to focus on. My mouth is talking. And all of those things really help me as a neurodivergent person to kind of stay on track and not completely wander off. And so I've noticed that with a lot of my neurodivergent clients too, they also love this because it can it's tactile, right? And it feels like every part of you is involved in it, which allows you to concentrate more. I'm just going to ask you to follow after me. So I'm going to tap on a certain part of my body. We always start here, and you're just tapping with light pressures. You can go a little bit harder if that feels good to you, but you really don't need to use use a lot of force in this practice. So I'm not going to explain every single chi point or meridian point to you, but just follow after me the best that you can. You can do it on either side of your body, right or left, if it feels good to you to use both hands. I like doing that sometimes. But for this video, I'm just going to use one hand so you can see me a little clearer. So I'm going to tap on each part of my body, say an affirmation, and then I'm going to pause for you to repeat after me. Even though I'm afraid of being seen, I still love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid of being seen, I still love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid of being seen, I still love and accept myself. Being seen feels so hard sometimes. It feels so hard because it is so vulnerable. And I don't want to feel naked. I don't want to feel vulnerable in front of anyone. I like having a sense of control. I feel better when I feel like I'm in control. I trust myself more when I'm in control. I trust myself more when I'm in control. I do want to be seen, though. I do want to be seen, though. Because when I'm seen and I'm loved, I love it. When I'm seen and I'm loved, I love it. I know I deserve to be known. I know I deserve to be known. I know I want to be seen. I know I want to be seen. Maybe I'm not afraid to be seen. Maybe I'm not that afraid to be seen. Maybe I'm just afraid of being judged. Maybe I'm just afraid of being judged. But I've also judged people before. I've also judged people before. And I've definitely been judged before. And I've definitely been judged before. And I always got through it. I always got through it. In fact, I learned even more about myself. I learned even more about myself. And I learned that I trust myself. I learned that I trust myself. I trust that if I feel judged, I will take care of myself. I trust that if I feel judged, I will take care of myself. I trust myself to always keep myself safe. I trust that I will always keep myself safe. I trust that I will always keep myself safe. It's safe to venture out of my comfort zone. It's safe to venture out of my comfort zone. I can always go back to it if I need to. I can always go back to it if I need to. I'm strong enough to challenge myself. I'm strong enough to challenge myself. I allow myself to be seen. I allow myself to be seen. I am worthy of being seen. I am worthy of being seen. I believe I can be seen and loved. I believe I can be seen and loved. I can be seen and cherished. I can be seen and cherished. I can be seen and adored. I can be seen and adored. I allow myself to shine. I allow myself to shine. I allow myself to be seen. I allow myself to be seen. Okay, you can take the extra energy, rub your hands together, create some warmth. And you can take a few deep breaths and just wrap yourself in a hug, feeling your warmth and your energy on your arms. Maybe even picturing this energy that you feel wrapping around you, fortifying you, and allowing it to become a part of you. Feel free to take a few more deep breaths. You can come back to this EFT session anytime that you like. EFT is absolutely foundational for me in my healing journey, and I will teach it to anyone who cares because I truly think it can change your life. I use EFT in my one-on-one sessions with tarot and EFT. I will do a tarot reading for you and then create a personalized EFT round for you based on the message that your spirit guides want you to know. I also use EFT in my coaching sessions, so this is something that sometimes in the middle of a session I'll ask if it's something that you would be willing to try. And I'll do it right there with you, and it'll also be personalized, and you can just repeat after me just like this, but one-on-one. And the other way that you can learn EFT is through the Self-Worth Blueprint for Black Sheep and Cycle Breakers. So this is the online course that I created that's completely self-paced, no live classes, just you and the energy that you want to put into this. It is only $50, so it's more affordable than working with me one-on-one, and you get all the modules and everything together. But I have an entire section on EFT where I teach you every single meridian point, and then I lead you through a self-worth EFT round for Black Sheep. So we get into a little bit of our past and a little bit of our families, but mainly we really focus on lifting those worthiness wounds out of our body and reinvigorating our self-worth, right? Rebuilding our self-worth. We also have a somatic sequence that is low mobility friendly and depression friendly so that you can go even deeper into the body and use the whole body in different ways, but also in ways that feel really accessible and feel really inviting, I think. And like there's not a high barrier to entry for a lot of these somatic practices that I included in this. And so my hope is that any beginner could try this, even if you've been healing for a long time, but you haven't had a resource that is specifically for Black Sheep and specifically around self-worth, but you identify as the Black Sheep or cycle breaker. This is truly the comprehensive resource that I would recommend to you. So that is the Self-Worth Blueprint. I'm going to link everything in the description, and I really hope that this video inspired you to take control, right? Take your power back. Know that if there are major hurdles that you have to face in order to make your dreams come true, that you still choose those difficulties. You still bulldoze through those obstacles because you are strong enough to do that. You are courageous enough to do that. And there are resources here helping you along the way. And I hope that I can be one of those. So thank you so much again for tuning in and watching. I'll have a new video for you next week. And until then, remember that you're worthy whether you believe it or not.